So what we're going to do now is we are going to work with Photoshop in order to design our template. And so you'll notice that Amazon is going to give you a size template based on the number of pages and the paper color that you're going to be using to publish your book when you use Create Space. When you have your dimensions in there, you're going to click Build Template. So what you're going to do is you're going to download the zip file and unzip it, and you'll have a PNG file and a PDF in there. And then we can open up the PNG inside of our image editing software. What you're going to notice is that you now have some guidance on how to size your actual book and how to size what you want your cover to be. And if you know anything about working with Photoshop, what you're going to try to do is you're going to make sure that you stay within these lines, that if you're going to use the spine, that you get it inside of these areas, and that if you're going to use the back cover, that you design inside of here. And so what you're going to need to do is you can size this up and size this down so that you can design according to the dimensions that you have. So what we can do is we can actually add in our layer, and then we can pull our template or whatever we're going to be using for our book into these spaces. Now before you actually lay out your book, you want to pay attention to what this information is telling you. For example, the black dotted line is where your book's going to be cut. The blue dotted line is where the spine is going to fold. So you want to make sure that you don't have any letters here because they're going to spill over there. The white area is going to be live, and that's what your customer is actually going to see. And then anything in the red is not actually going to be seen. And so you want to think through how you want your cover to appear. And this is easy to do in Photoshop. Or, of course, if you're not necessarily handy with Photoshop, you can actually have this done by someone. Right? So one of the things that you could do is you can actually design your template, and you want to design it according to the size. And you want to pay attention to the size of the entire PDF that actually comes out. Now let's take a look at how the image is sized. Now the image size is 3776 by 2775. So when you actually do a design, you want to pay attention to those dimensions. And so you've noticed that we have a template that fits in here, but if you wanted to design your own template, you would want to make sure that it fits into those dimensions. 3776 by 2775. And you can do that easily inside of Photoshop if you have some designs that you might want to either use or combine. So you would start by creating an image size or new image that would be that size. You will want to make it transparent and then click OK. And we can actually size this down in Photoshop, and what we would be doing is we would be designing inside of this square. And as we design inside of this square, when we complete our actual template, that's when we take the template and we place it back on top of this one. And of course, we can just continue to look at this template as our guide. So there are two steps in the process. One, we want to find out what the image size is of the template. And all these templates are going to be specific because they're going to be according to how many pages our book has, as well as the actual size. So in this particular case, we're going to look at the image size. That's one step. And then we're going to create our template size, and we're going to create it in the size of that template so we can start to do our design inside of there. And we want to make sure that our image size is exactly that. And we can begin to do a design, any one that we want according to maybe some e-covers that we have. We put them inside of some layers, but we can begin to make this into what we actually want it to look like. So for example, if we have a flat design, we can actually take a look at this design and how it would fit into what it is that we're trying to do. And in Photoshop, we can actually size this design up. If we want to keep the aspect ratio, we can do that. And what you'll notice is that when we get Photoshop images, we can then begin to design it inside of the template that we're actually going to be using, and that's actually going to be on our hardcover book. Now, once again, if you're comfortable designing on Photoshop, this is something that you can do. You'll be able to handle this. Of course, this is something that you can actually start an intermediate step by having someone to design a template for you to fit your exact dimensions. So when you actually go to give someone on, let's say, Fiverr or some other design location, you can actually give them the dimensions of the image that you want them to have. Or you can start in an interim step. You can have them design a front pocket and a back pocket, and then you can fit it in. If you want to fit it into a specific budget, maybe you don't want them to design the whole thing. So there are lots of options once you understand how the template works inside of CreateSpace. Once you can get the sizing down, you can size it inside of a program like Photoshop. That's when you can start to use that latitude in order to have designers work with you according to your budget. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video.